Hello everybody, I am the HappyCabbie, and today we have a taxi-related news story I wanted to let you guys know about. This is regarding a taxi fraud that took place in New York City. It turns out several cab drivers were charging the out-of-town rate to local passengers. In other words, you get in a cab and you just want to go a short distance, you're charged one rate, but if you want to go like way out of town, you're actually charged a higher rate, and that is to compensate the cab driver for basically deadheading back to the central area to pick up more passengers. Many areas, for example, have this kind of thing, out-of-town rates. Some cities let the cab drivers charge a fee for going across. For example, when I was in St. Louis, I had to go from the Missouri side to the Illinois side, and I was charged, I think, $10 just to go across state lines. But anyway, I of course was a cab driver for several years in Phoenix, Arizona, and of the 36,000 drivers in New York City, inappropriately hit the out-of-town fare, and most of them were probably a mistake. But it says here that in the New York Times, 3,000 cab drivers did this at least 100 times. Now this, of course, is genuine fraud. Now, the union that represents the cab drivers, they're saying, oh, it's a manufacturer defect. They're trying to spin this. And they're trying to say it's like there are too many cab drivers for this to have been an outright scam. And they're saying it's totally believable. Now, first of all, this type of scam, was not instituted by the company. There's no company directive saying, hey, cab drivers, go screw the customers. No. This is basically one cab driver talking to another cab driver and saying, hey, you want to earn some more money? It's like, this is how you do it. Cab drivers, and I can tell you this as a former cab driver because I've talked to a lot of these guys, they are notorious for charging way too much. Now, there are two ways that this happens. Number one, you are from out of town, you know where you want to go, but you don't really know the best way to get there. The cab driver feels you out, takes you on a longer ride, charge you a higher fare. The second way, now that of course is malicious. The second way this happens is basically because the cab driver has no clue where he's going. One time while I was driving down the road, I spotted one of my fellow cab drivers just sitting there reading the map book, and he had a passenger in the back of his car, and he was trying to go to this resort hotel that was in Phoenix. And he had no idea where it was. Now, of course, I knew where it was. And I'm looking at his map book, and he had just a little folding map. When I was a cab driver, I had a Thomas guide. This is a $20 map. Every single little alley in Phoenix I had. And I basically told this guy, it's like, you need to get a better map book. I told him exactly how to get there, written instructions, and sent the guy on his way. What I was able to do, because number one, I knew the town very well, it was my job to know the town, is I was able to give my passengers a price estimate. In other words, you sit in my cab and you say you want to go here, there. I did two things. Number one, I gave you several different routes that we could go. Some people, for example, want to get there the quickest way possible, which usually involves a freeway, but sometimes taking a freeway is a little more out of the way. The direct route, of course, is just by taking city streets, but sometimes that can take longer. So I would give them usually 2 or 3 different options. Which way do you want to go? They would choose the way, and then, of course, I was able to give them a price estimate. Now, I always estimated higher, so therefore I would come under. In the off chance that I actually estimated wrongly, and it actually turned out to be more than what I estimated, I basically honored the estimated price. I was a very honest cab driver, but the thing is, I know cab drivers who, if given the chance, would definitely cheat people. And here's what you need to do. Number one, as you know, if you've ever been in a taxi cab, a lot of cab drivers don't speak very good English. It is your responsibility as the paying passenger to know where you're going and how to get there. For example, you get into a cab, one thing you want to do is you want to have the address written down, and now that we have Google, You can just type in Google Maps, perhaps maybe print it out, hand it to the cab driver and say, here, take me there. The other thing that you can do is you can calculate the price yourself. Because Google Maps also gives you miles, you basically find out what the meter rate is in your particular town. Right here in Phoenix, it's about anywhere from $1.80 to $2 per mile, depending which company you go with. So if you want to go 20 miles and you know it's $2 per mile, you know it's going to be right around $40. So that tells you, number one, the best way to get there. Number two, it gives you a ballpark price. Sometimes it might be $35, sometimes it might be $45, but somewhere around $40. And as long as it gets you, but if you go on a trip and it's like $70, then you know you've been taken for a ride. The other thing that you want to do whenever you get into a taxi cab is the prices must be on the door of the cab. If the prices are not on the door of the cab, in other words, as soon as you get in upfront prices, don't get in that cab. That cab's going to take you for a ride. The second thing is the meter must be visible to you from the back seat. If the meter is out of sight, you can't see it, or if the guy's just running it off of the odometer, no. In Arizona, what we require is taxi cabs must have their meters calibrated and certified by the Department of Weights and Measures. Most states have a similar program in their own thing. So a meter that you can see. Now, the way these passengers charged it is they said, okay, well, in-town rate is rate number 1. These guys are being charged rate number 4. You just press a button and you just sit back and ride. Now, if you were to Google the thing and find out exactly how many miles you're going and also how much it's going to cost, if you were charged double the rate, you would say, hold on, what's going on? It is, unfortunately, your responsibility to know where you're going and how much it's going to cost to get there, because if you rely exclusively on the cab driver, eventually you will get ripped off. I'm the Happy Cabbie, and thank you for watching.